on C7 Sport.
Strut your stuff and live out loud.
What's so important about living longer and feeling safe?
Say what you feel.
I'm just not in the mood tonight.
Liberate your passion.
Yeah.
Holly Hunter.
I want to stop agreeing to things I don't really want.
Danny DeVito.
I'm sorry.
That's perfectly all right.
Living Out Loud. Now showing on Movie One.
I want to tell you I'm sorry. You'll be a lot better this time. I promise. It's just that you look so good in those things. They're too sexy.
It's so wrong to look pretty before we were married.
Don't you ever know what will fall on me. Ever. You know how to behave. Leave me alone.
Farrah Fawcett stars in The Burning Bed, now showing on Movie Greats.
I thought I might be building something, but the friendships I built were the real surprise.
I thought we'd be getting some training. We fixed up the entire station while we were at it.
Work for the Dole is working in your community. Authorised by the Commonwealth Government, Canberra.
Wednesday, one of the most famous events in world show jumping.
But this is the biggest of them all. This is a classic one to win.
Only the brave contest the derby.
Absolutely brilliant.
The Peugeot Jumping Derby from Hickstead, exclusive to C7 Sport.
No one can break clear, except for the advantage of Dacos. Look at the gather. The right foot step. This is a miraculous hit. Can't do so. Russell picks it up, heads in towards the pocket. Over the head of Thompson it goes. Dacos. This is where he's at his best. The mustard. This will be probably the last kick.
Oh, what a wonderful day. That one day in October it was.
Pop your false teeth out.
No, they've been screwed back in. Great memories of that. How much of that day do you remember?
Everything about it. I mean, as a player, I suppose, having played at Collingwood 17 years, 15 years service, there's not a lot I remember about a lot of years bar 1990, because wherever I go, it's constantly brought up. So people keep reliving it with you, and it's just a day that you don't forget.
It's the only time I got paid to lay down. It's the only game I've been paid.
You're on the bench. How did you go from on the bench? Geez, you became a better player later in the part of your career. Actually spurred you on.
Derm, we didn't know which one of your five to choose.
You got footage.
You were spoiled. Derm was spoiled.
Are there
nice hairdo.
Are there parts of your winning grand finals, some you remember, some that you don't have too much recollection of?
I reckon you could run a bit of footage for any one of the grand finals, the wins that is, freeze frame it, and I'd be able to tell you what happens next.
Yeah.
Yeah, you vividly remember pretty well everything. I reckon the best part of grand final days, I mean, the final sign's great, as you know, guys, when you're in front, but the best bit is when you run out onto the ground, and that noise is physical. It actually smacks up against you, and that's the only bit I can't remember, running your 2 laps warm-up, because it's just, whoa, where am I?
Yeah. It's the biggest exhilaration you'll ever get. I mean, seriously.
Well, that's one thing that I can actually identify with. You know, we've got 9 premierships at the table, but in my job, I've been fortunate to stand there when the teams run out onto the ground, and you described it perfectly. It hits you. The sound actually physically hits your body. It is an amazing feeling.
I would love our both teams to come out at the same time, and even in regular seasons, because you get 50,000 at a game, Melbourne run out, and you get 20,000 people clap and cheer. The opposition run out, Collingwood, 30,000. Imagine both coming out at the same time and 50,000, I'm just talking regular season, screaming as one. It's like the bounce of the ball of a grand final when you got every person in that stadium roaring. There's nothing like it.
It's a little bit more gladiatorial when they come out
separately.
Yeah. In comes somebody roar, and then it's up to the opposition supporters. Can they roar louder when the other dude comes in? Yeah.
I suppose we have the meters.
Hubs, have you got any concerns about the weather? 27 degrees. It's going to be pretty warm.
I've actually heard that the Brisbane Lions are going to hire a cool room to put in their in their rooms prior to the game.
That's just for the champers afterwards.
Well, I'm not quite sure what it's for, but obviously they're going to put their players in this freezer and then enable them to go out and play, which can have ramifications, I would imagine.
I thought you
Stiffen
were
up.
talking about
When's the last time you stiffen up, Dave?
No.
Stiffen up?
Yeah.
After the show.
Settle down.
I played in the '87 grand final where we lost to Reese.
That was the hottest day.
And that really hurt.
Yeah, 30.7 degrees.
That weather really hurt.
Did you ever find yourself, say if you had 2 weeks in a row of heat, did you find the second week that it actually affected you? Can you remember?
Not really, mate. It only sneaks in at the end, and you're unlucky to get, you know, an over 25 day in September. But I remember thinking that day the heat really hurt.
Yeah, I think this year also the runners-up are getting medals. That's what I've been told.
I'm not sure. I haven't heard that.
Well,
but
I
I've heard that.
Yeah,
probably should do.
Right, yeah. They're going to have a gold for the winners and a silver for the runner-ups.
Look, in the early part of my career, I received a couple of runner-up, well, that's all I ever received, was 2 runner-up medals. You didn't appreciate them at the time, but I do appreciate them now, looking back on it.
Was it Peter Moore who threw his into the crowd?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. I mean...
That's out there somewhere. Somebody's got it. Be worth a few bob because it has been thrown.
Doom, you played in that grand final. I've always wanted to ask you this. That Reed Geelong, 89, copping that whack in the ribs. What was going through your mind? I mean, you get to the biggest day in football. You look like you're out on your feet. I mean, what do you think of yourself?
It was pretty stupid. Sorry, moving out a shot on you then, Cameron.
We do this on the show. Don't worry about it.
World now.
Mate, this is low budget, Ian. Don't worry about it.
On this show.
You can walk off if you like and
We've
come
got
back.
10 cameras here.
We got one.
I was pretty stupid because I thought, bounce of the ball, somebody runs in, somebody gets bumped and hurt. Won't be me, I'm the one who'll do the bumping. And my mind closed in and I got tunnel vision and Yatesy came from there and I never saw him. Yeah, I reckon if that had been my first grand final, I'd have said to myself, this is just about as big a pain as I've ever felt. I deserve to go off and I can have a rest here. It ain't my day. But grand finals, knowing what they're like, as you guys know, you just say to yourself, if the thing is not hanging off me, if I don't actually have to get into an ambulance within a few minutes, and I knew I'd broken the ribs in a couple of other spots, you know, in the previous years. I actually broke my ribs on your head one day.
No. You did break my ribs out at Waverley.
Yeah, but I broke mine on your head.
And I have to apologise for running my ribs into your knee.
And I just thought to myself at the time, this is, you know what's on offer, you know, at the end of the day, and you just, whatever it is, you put up with it. And it's the one and only time when people talk about go on with guts and glory and all that rubbish and whatever, it's the one and only time I've been able to play with true pain. Yeah.
So how many ribs did you break of Dakes?
Not enough.
That's what I was going to say, yeah.
2.
Did I?
Ask me. 2.
Should I get 2 of them?
Oh.
I actually cracked the side here at Optus Oval. Ned did something to me, and it made me really angry. So somebody kicked a goal, they bounced the ball, and I ran in, and you were there, and I bumped you, and your head went in there, and I thought, that hurt. And it cracked my rib.
Look, I have to admit, there was one time Ned did get you. You went down. I think you were out. I looked over you and then I kicked you. I made sure he was out.
Yeah.
I jumped
That
on
was
him.
in Toronto.
You always knew that he couldn't play with pain, so...
Speaking of Ned, generally what Ned did that was annoying was breathe or be in the same suburb.
Ned.
Hello, Ned, if you're watching. Let's have a look at some of the matchups, gentlemen, from the round 10 encounter and see whether we might expect similar matchups this time. First of all, Mel Michael on Matthew Lloyd.
Well, I won't comment. I'll let these boys go for it.
Go on,
Go for it, Doom.
I reckon they're equally as good a matchup as each other. They've given Lepich the biggest job in the opposition the last few weeks. He got Richo. They'll probably go that way again, but I would say... Look, I'm a huge, massive rap for Leper, but I reckon he's still got to be a tiny bit suspect if you stretch him, if you run him for a long amount of time. And if they do that... But having said that, they had Richo on him last week and he didn't pull up sore on the hamstring, but I still get that horrible feeling, touch wood for him, because he's a great guy. I hope he gets through the match, but I would be number one.
Is he fit enough? I mean, he's missed a bit of football against the power.
Admittedly, the ball didn't come down to Richo's liking and he couldn't lead this way and that way, but he ran with him.
Yeah.
Now, Richo will still work hard, even when the ball's coming in a scungy fashion. I reckon they will.
Alistair Lynch comes back into the team. Dustin Fletcher started on him in round 10, and then Fletcher eventually went forward, I think, halves.
Well, we had to get some goal-kicking power. Obviously, we're struggling this game, and that's one of Sheedy's moves that he makes if we're in trouble.
I think with Lynchy too, he does rely on the football. He loves wrestling. I don't think he'll wrestle Fletcher in the square because Fletcher has the long arms and he's a bit gangly and hard to pin down. On the run, Fletcher's just as good and able again with the long arms to get the ball to the ground. And I think what the risk Lynch runs into, if he starts coming up the ground, if he doesn't win possession and the ball going back the other way, you've got Fletcher maybe getting it and getting into the middle of the ground and sending the Bombers up.
Kevin Sheedy's already warned Marcus Ashcroft that he might be in for a hot time because Marcus mentioned the word arrogance in relation to the Essendon players. Last time he got James Hird and he did a very good job on him.
Yeah, he's a good player, isn't he, Chopper? He used to be their #1 midfielder, but so strong are they now in the midfield area. He's probably slipped back to about #6 and does the pinch hit roles. And for an ex-on baller who now plays small type players, although he did get hurt, he's 6'1". So he does have a bit of reach on his side, and he's tremendously dedicated. I couldn't see a reason why I wouldn't go with him again. Maybe the only other one is one of the Scott brothers might go for a little bit of body on body.
Chris.
Yeah, I can't even tell them apart.
Yeah. He's been good, Brad Scott too. Brad Scott's been very good. Chris Scott, huge year.
Chris Scott got Lucas in the round 10 meeting and did a pretty good job on him. Jonathan Brown, of course, is going to be a difficult one to match up, and Dean Solomon Dakes was the man in round 10.
Yeah, look, it's going to be an interesting one. I'd certainly like to be seeing Wellman across half-back for the Bombers, trying to set him up, certainly up the ground, getting him running into the middle. But Jonathan Brown, I don't know if Solomon can go with a different player to what Richardson is. Brown's more a physical player and has a bulk and is not scared to use it. And if they go at the same time, well, Brown has got the advantage there. I would sit Brown back in the goal square if Solomon picks him up.
If they don't play Solomon on, they have to play Wellman, and I really reckon you want to have Wellman up on the wing, that sweeping role where his mind is as like in the 2 or 3 best football brains in the comp, and unless Essendon take the charge to Brisbane in that area between the 250s, I reckon they're asking for trouble first off. I want to keep Wellman free, but Wellman could play him. Yeah. But I reckon they're going to be forced to put Solomon on.
Yeah. I think the other thing with Wellman and Jonathan Brown, I mean, the Bombers protect Wellman to allow him to run off, and they do want him up across half-back. That's where you want him because he will set him up.
So if Wellman doesn't get Brown, Bradshaw, probably?
Yeah, I tend to think you might even try and steer him clear of anybody who's capable of kicking a 3-goal haul, you know. And look, Bradshaw could kick 3, 5.
Solomon I think Solomon.
You might even,
I
think you might even try, you know, go somewhere else. Gee, Heffernan, or I know you probably need them in the midfield, but if you could, that's why I thought Bolton might play on him actually, but yeah, he's not going to be there. But I really think, look, same again. You want Barnard up forward. He knows all these things. You want Barnard to pitch hit, but Barnard might play on him.
Oh, I think they'd have problems if Barnard was in the forward line. Who will pick
he didn't
him up?
play well in the forward line last week.
Too short.
He didn't play well in the forward line last week, Barnard. And to ask him to find confidence as a forward in front of 100.
Don't forget he came off the bench to kick 4 last year.
Yeah, look, he can do it.
He did. Yes,
he's
all these things.
Yeah. Well, I just think that's the unpredictability of the game. I mean, anyone and anything can pop up.
You spoke about Damien Peveril before. We've sort of forgotten him now because it was so long ago, but when he came into the team, he got the best player just about every week and did a terrific job on Ackermanis on this night too.
He's a face mask, this kid, wasn't he? But, you know, he actually went out and tried to find it himself. But
so who's the man for Ackermanis' term, do you think?
Oh, jeepers.
I don't think you'll do the job.
Could you play a player, Ackermanis, would Ackermanis, on a lesser light, have the respect to go back onto him? Is that a way to cut him up? I mean, concede maybe his 25 touches, but say our guy might be able to go the other way and get 20 touches and kick his 3 goals.
I don't think he will. I think... I don't know whether you totally trust him for the whole game, but McVeigh has had the major run-with roles of the best pure running player on the opposition team. I think he's probably best suited You know, he's a talented kid, but plays his best footy when he's given a task.
McVeigh got black last time in round 10.
Yeah, he might have to go to Ackermanis. He might get both. He might go to Ackermanis after half-time. I hate this. Halves are sitting there smirking away.
Anything you want to add, Hal?
No,
come on, we can go home early.
You know what? I want these blokes to have a look at the replay of this show. And when the matchups go out on Saturday.
Well, I've just
to
given
see
you
how
5
far
options.
wrong they are.
Yeah, but wait on. If you
If you
lose.
get the right ones.
Yeah. What if
Yeah.
you lose?
No, it doesn't
you
matter.
were wrong.
Just to see who you are thinking is playing on such and such from the line.
If you lose, Derm and I will send you a copy.
Hey,
okay,
all right. Have we been right on any so far?
He'll give you
We've
nothing.
gone through 6 matchups. You're about half right on one of them.
And the other thing too, if you happen to have a tape of this, just rewind it and have another look at that, because that's the first time in 27 weeks that Harves hasn't said anything for about 5 minutes. Didn't think it could possibly happen. We're going to go to a break. We've got lots more to come on our preview of the 2001 AFL Grand Final. As we head to the break, Brisbane going through to the big one.
That the team's been able to establish over, I guess, the last 14 to 15 weeks. I mean, we were dead set embarrassed in round 8 against Carlton, and you know, just the guys were just embarrassed at the way they played, and you know, and we just made a pact that, you know, the guys have a responsibility amongst themselves that you know, that when it's their turn to go, they go, and you know, they're just working really hard and we're not giving up, and so it's just, I guess, it's evolved over the last 14 to 15 weeks, and you know, and now it's just a habit. Guys are just doing it without even thinking, and it's just second nature for them, and that's what you want, especially going into a finals campaign.
It's grand final fever on C7 Sport.
Champagne football!
16 hours of action, back to back, featuring some of the greatest clashes of all time. A fitting lead-up to our live coverage of the 2001 Grand Final. The stars, those unforgettable moments. AFL Grand Final Fever, Friday afternoon from 3 on C7 Sport. Two-wheel thunder, the World Speedway Grand Prix.
Something could happen here!
Catch the 2001 Swedish Grand Prix with the world's best riders.
Oh, he's down! He's down!
500cc power, over 150 k's an hour, no brakes.
They are going for it.
Aussie Jason Crump won his first Grand Prix in Poland. Who'll take out the 6th round in Stockholm? The Swedish Grand Prix, full replay Sunday on C7 Sport.
The CUB AFL 2001 Grand Final. And you'll see all the pre-match entertainment, followed by the big game live Saturday from 1 on C7 Sport.
Look at that!
Essendon are out to make it back-to-back titles.
Champagne football!
For Brisbane, their first chance to grab the ultimate glory. All the excitement, all the action. The CUB AFL 2001 Grand Final, live on C7 Sport.
I thought I might be building something, but the friendships I built were the real surprise.
I thought we'd be getting some training. We fixed up the entire station while we were at it.
Work for the Dole is working in your community. Authorised by the Commonwealth Government, Canberra.
Tomorrow's Superstars on show Sunday. Will the game uncover another Lockett, Barassi or a Lee Matthews? Australian football's young champions. The AFL Under-18s Grand Final. Sunday morning at 10 on C7 Sport.
Siren. Essendon winning their first flag since 1965.
Number 38, Mark Harvey.
They got it through. It's a goal. It's his fourth. Well, then the Siren to win the game, and Essendon are premiers for 1985, winning 2 in a row.
Foster's AFL Premiership 1993.
Yes, we've got a few premierships at the table, as I said, a total of 9 between Dermot Brereton and Mark Harvey and Peter Dacos.
And yourself.
Yes, and myself. So, yeah, we average just a bit over 2 each.
Oh, no, Crackers won.
And this is
Crackers won 1, yes.
Zilch, 1. How many halves?
3.
3.
And just 5 at the other end.
Lacy 5.
And celebrations in those days.
I can imagine.
Is there any difference in the way the players celebrate from those days to these days?
Don't tell me you got the footage.
We've got the footage. Let's have a look at it. Straight into it. Bang. And we're going to talk over the top of it. Just hang on for a sec. Let's have a listen.
Mark Harvey and Paul Salmon.
Listen to this.
Mark played and Paul put down the great foundation
We can
for the
still
club
hear you, Harv, so
early in
don't
the
say-
season.
don't
Mark,
say anything.
19 years of age,
Listen.
you went out there today as an interchange player and just kept taking mark after mark. It must have been a great thrill.
Oh yeah, it was a real great thrill. I just can't believe we won. It was a great effort by the boys to come back at 3/4 time after being so down by so much.
Now, one of the more moving moments of the game, and I think one of the really sporting things about a grand final,
And the good
I
thing
believe
is the
Bertie
best is yet to come.
Domenico came up to you after the game and gave you a couple of words of advice.
Oh yeah, that's right. Bertie came up and shook all their hands and he said, you know, well done, and you deserve to get the medal, and
Who's that bloke
you
in
know,
the
we'll beat you next year. So he's, you know, I just.
Did he say anything about the atmosphere?
No, he didn't say anything about the atmosphere. He just said it was real good for you to win.
And what about the big fella next year?
Well, you know,
Stand by.
he was part of it. You know, he feels a bit out of it at the moment, but you know, he's part of it.
He feels what?
A bit out of it. Listen to this. Listen to
very,
this.
very heart-rending.
Hieroglyphics on
All the
television.
boys get the medals, knowing how much you put in, the 63 goals in the 13 games, and knowing that you'd have to spend half the season on the sidelines.
It is very hard. You know, you don't feel a real part of it. It's when you're not playing. But, you know, it's great to see all the boys, their faces. I mean, they deserve it thoroughly. I mean, I even at half time, I knew they'd win. 3/4 time, it was they got a lot in them. They got a big hearts, and it was great.
Good seeing your little blonde mate here do well.
Yeah, the young fella, he's done all right for himself,
Isn't it lovely? A couple of 19-year-olds. And we might just pan the camera around here a bit if we can, and have a look over here at the Premiership Cup being passed around from hand to hand.
That was. Where are you, Dakes? What are you doing?
Hey! I can't believe that.
Auditioning.
How did you come on? What about your mate?
They're going to gone downhill since then.
That was at the Southern Cross, I think, wasn't it?
I think, yeah, Hilton, I think.
Oh, you probably wouldn't have known, would you? What about that?
He was knocking
the
drinks
underground.
off the tables.
They'll be probably a bit quieter if they happen to win on Saturday night.
I'd love to get one of Dermot.
Oh, let's put one of Dermot's
When Dermot first started.
I remember interviewing Dermot. We haven't got it, but I remember interviewing you after the '86 grand final in the rooms.
Oh,
and he was just over the other side of the rooms, and I just kept on calling to him. And
He
off
would have been
camera,
shy, though.
all
He
he was
wouldn't have-
doing
he
was
wouldn't have
ordering
gone
2 drinks to me for about 5 minutes.
I was a disgrace, yeah. Actually, the video I put out last year, personal video, I've got that interview, and I'm, going out, and then several years later, 5 years later, Bernie Quinlan interviews me after the 91 grand final, and from to 91, yeah, they were a very good team, the Eagles. The transformation was amazing.
Well, there's only one way we can really follow that last piece of videotape.
With sign language.
Crackers at Windy Hill last night.
Excuse me, mister. Who's going to win the game?
I think the Bombers will win by about 18 points.
You used to be Tim Watson. When did you coach St Kilda?
You're doing comedy now.
You think it's going to be a violent game?
No.
Why not? Don't you like
No
a
more
bit
than last week.
Don't you like a bit of biffo when you go and watch? You can take the kids to the footy?
No, not when I take the kids.
Who made your earrings?
Oh, I don't know.
You better look after them. I've never seen anything like that.
I know they're very old.
You didn't get them at the show, did you?
No, not this
What do you do? Do you sit out in the back and just eat pies and barrack?
God, barrack.
Pies?
Yeah, sometimes.
You'd be good on a pie, wouldn't you? Yeah. Wouldn't make, how many can you knock over in one sitting?
Oh, 5 or 6.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
And then you start to get into the main course after
Yeah.
that. Just before you get eaten, what did you turn up here for?
Well, I just wanted to support, I guess, Essendon. Give them it's their last chance, you know, a nice training run before our lethal Lions run over the top of you.
You're very frugal, aren't you? Because you've got a Brisbane Bears on.
That's because I'm not as rich as some people in football these days. I can't afford a new scarf, but I've been there for a long time. So I'm here supporting my team.
Did you get up in the morning and didn't take your tablets, did you, today?
No, I forgot them. Of course I forgot them.
Who dressed you?
We did ourselves.
Did you get at the show, did you?
No.
You look like some of those clowns. You know the clowns?
Yeah.
You like going and watching a bit of violence in football?
A little bit, not too much.
Oh,
I just hope it's not too hot.
Oh, well, it's going to be 27, yeah. I won't wear the bikini.
Sam Newman's got a lot to answer for, hasn't he? The poor man's street talk.
He's done it again.
Yes, and Crackers will be here. Don't forget the betting segment. We couldn't do Footy Focus without the betting segment.
It is on.
He will be coming on a little bit later on. And Deep Throat will have all the gossip too. So all of the regulars are here.
Is it
what?
exposed?
What?
Deep Throat.
I don't know.
No, Dermot knows it. You know Deep Throat?
I thought you were talking about something.
We're still on air, Dermot. We've got a chance to be on next year.
Let's not go there. I'll get you out of this, Derm, by having a look at the scoring averages. And there they go. And you can see, offensively, there is pretty little between, well, 1 point between them for the entire season. Hardly anything points against too. So it's all pointing to this grand final that we've been looking for, Dugs. Yeah, look, they're the two best teams. I think they've proven that over the whole season. I mean, Brisbane have certainly, over the last 14, 15 rounds, taken all before them. The Bombers are still there, and the respect they have over the last 3 years of football, well, they are a super team. So, look, good balance, good versatility, and the unpredictability factor is all there. What about this? Speaking of unpredictable, he is the Inspector Gadget of footy, isn't he? He's unbelievable. I just think in this game, personally, the thing you can't measure is the psyche of players. I mean, they can tell you and you can look at body language, but what a player is actually thinking, we'll never know unless he comes out and places on the table. The Lions go into a grand final with a lot of youngsters having their first taste of it. I mean, is that overrated? I mean, is there a lot in that? There has to be 2 or 3 players that will be overawed, and if it's 15, 20 minutes before they settle down, the Bombers are a chance to capitalise.
I reckon it's not as much these days when you've got 4 on the bench. It used to be, if you had 3 who were overawed, unfortunately you had to have 1 on the ground in the grand final.
What about if you've only played 2 games in Melbourne at the MCG all year? On top of it,
I don't think it's going to worry them that regard. I think the thing about Lee is he's coached them literally. He said, make your own way down to Melbourne. The first time an interstate coach has said, make your own way down. And your time, just be ready for this at that amount of time. The team meeting goes there. Go down 2 days before, 1 day, on the day. Do it yourself. And he's put it in the ball in their court. And I reckon they're travelling all right this season after they got over Collingwood. They haven't had much to come down here for, but all bets are off when it gets to a grand final about travelling, night games, all that. All bets are off, and it's just 2 teams against each other.
Well, just on the subject of being overawed in the big atmosphere, the man we just saw, Dustin Fletcher, certainly won't be because he's chasing his 3rd premiership medallion.
I suppose there's a group of, 5 or 6 blokes that went through 93 being pretty young, and Sheeds has made the point to us. It's been quite a long time since from 93 through to last year. So I think that's what Sheeds has done to us. He's put in our head that a lot of blokes just don't get a chance to play in a grand final, and a chance to become part of a back-to-back, maybe a back-to-back side is quite a big thing. And you've obviously got Rioli and Danny Jacobs and McVeigh and blokes like this who sat and watched last year, and they'll be well and truly keen for this one because, as I said, we're in a pretty fortunate position here.
Dustin Fletcher speaking to the media throughout the week. Dakes, one of his counterparts at the other end of the ground, a man who played his 200th game last week, and I love watching him play footy because you never know what's going to happen next. Darryl White.
Well, he's a super player, and he's one of those players across. He's no different to Wellman. He does set him up. I mean, he's a player that'll get 25 touches and probably only gain 100 metres for his team over the night, but he'll chip it in. He'll always find someone. He does the hard things, does the unpredictable things. He's able to take it in one foul swoop and run off and set his teammates off. He's so important. Or for the Bombers that they drag him back, try and drag him back and put a nail on Chrissy Johnson's running as well.
Interesting there, he's picking up a small player there, Fiora and also Rogers. So he tends to, you think with his height and his physique that he'd be the third tall backline player for him, but not necessarily. He goes and picks up a small forward as well at times and tends to lay off and take marks like that.
Just halves, just on Sheeds and yourself and the coaching panel. I know Dustin Fletcher said, look, you don't always get opportunities to play in grand finals. What tact have you used this week or this final series compared to last year? I mean, last year would have been, you don't get this opportunity much, boys. All of a sudden we're in another one now. I mean, what sort of tact?
Oh, I don't think anything too much has changed from last year, though we're in a different situation now that we've won one. I guess it's along the lines of how good do you want to be, and where do you want to go, and how good do you want to be, and do you want to be spoken about in 20 years' time?
As a dual,
yeah,
as having won two in a row.
Yeah, correct.
Dermot, a lot of the Fitzroy fans are obviously going to be there and supporting their team. There's only a couple of players left from the original batch that went up. Chris Johnson is one of them, and Alistair Lynch is the other one. Johnson's been very important to them in defence.
I think Lynchy went a little bit before even, didn't he? He got recruited by there.
And Martin Pike, of course, played for Fitzroy but didn't go at the time.
What about Pikey sneaking into another grand final? So amazing players, both very good. Johnson, he wasn't without his troubles early on. I think he was one of the players who manhandled an umpire even at one stage. But like all the Aboriginal kids, he's an absolute talent. Great talent.
He always wanted to come home back to Melbourne too, didn't he? It was quite often rumoured when he first went up there that he wasn't comfortable with living up there in the Gold Coast.
And what about this bloke too? He's been a good pickup for them. Collingwood's probably one getting Jared Malloy, and Brisbane certainly one getting him, so win-win for both.
It's hard. Yeah, well, look, I think Brisbane have probably done the best out of it. Jared's had a great season, but Brisbane didn't have that key position backman, and they had a few key position forwards. Having been at Collingwood for 1 year when Mal was just a junior there, I looked at him and thought, about 6'2.5", 6'3", good size athlete. And I mentally put him in that perspective. You stand next to him now, he's an enormous bloke. Big, strong fella.
He's a big man.
Yeah, he's a big man now. He was a kid when we saw him start out.
It's hard to differentiate between the Fab Four, but Simon Black is a player, I know that you've got tremendous amount of time for him. He's had a wonderful season, and he's just one of those talented players who always seems to have time whenever he gets the footy.
Well, greatest pressure in football, I've always said, is peripheral pressure. It's not so much when a guy has you, I mean, you're gone, but it's knowing the players are there, and the very good players will hold it and hold it and hold it and draw players. He tends to do that, and we'll see a few of his highlights. The other thing he's doing really well is he's finishing off, he's kicking goals. Midfielder, I mean, what's the distinguishing thing? They all get 25, 30 touches, 35, we applaud them, but in the end, a midfielder that can get his 30 touches and kick 2 or 3 goals or 30 goals, 40 goals for a season has done the job of 2 players.
What was the word you used, Harbs? Awareness.
Awareness, correct.
Yeah,
he's got everything. What I mean by that, he's got the all-round package. He goes and gets the ball, he's good overhead, kicks goals like Dakes is talking about, and covers the ground. And,
he finds space too, like that, doesn't he? Not only does he go in and get it, he finds space. I reckon he's the reason, that bloke you're looking at right there, Black, why they didn't win in '99. I tipped them to win the premiership last.
That's right.
Had he stayed on the ground, I would have thought they would. I reckon they would have run
bowled
over
off the square.
Mickey Martin.
Correct, that's right.
Mick clocked him.
And I reckon the one good thing about him too is he's a really level-headed, down-to-earth kid too, which might help him going into the hype of the weekend.
I think a lot of their kids are up there because they're away from it. They don't get the focus that's on a lot of our young players down here in Melbourne. So I think that they become very, very level-headed quicker.
I think a lot of the players these days, I think the financial rewards to players means that they don't have to worry about anything else outside football. And it is a luxury now that these players are realising. I read something on Jason Ackermanis the other day saying he now realises that he can financially secure his life.
But that can be a drawback for some as
well,
opposed to a positive.
Well, it has been in rugby league. Well, they talk in the rugby league circles, the blokes who look at that and say, this is my financial freedom for the rest of my life. And they go berserk, some of them. Not all of them, some of them.
Yeah. We saw the scoring averages before. Let's have a look at the game averages, disposal-wise, between these two teams. What do they tell us?
Well, direct. They're not, the kicks are not as, I suppose, let me compare them to Hawthorn. Sorry, Derm, but very direct. Not a great overuse of ball. 308 for the Bombers there compared to, what's that, 312? So you haven't got, an overuse of the ball. You compare them to a lot of other teams. A lot of chipping and
340, 350, yeah.
So they're very direct. And tackles, well, they work pretty hard. Although the tackling side of things, you get a lot of scrimmages and a lot of players around ball ups and boundary throw-ins. So you'd expect the tackles to be high.
Joe Mercedes' form last week, halves, was terrific, and he came up with the crunch goal at the time when you really needed it too.
He did. It's a very steadying goal for us and much needed one, and turned the tide for us. They were coming at us left, right and centre, Hawthorn, and Joe just had the poise to put through a goal. And look, I reckon he's just peaked now because he'd had an injury, obviously, with his knee and missed quite a bit of football, but he's now sort of 6 to 8 weeks into that, and he's really now starting to see the benefits of that.
Are you confident that he's going to stay? Because the talk is that he may be the one to go.
No, look, I think Joe's family and where he grew up in basically in Essendon, East Keilor, which is a suburb of Essendon, and he's just bought a house in Essendon. Joe's been in Essendon as a kid, very similar to me. We've got red and black in our blood, and he would not leave our club unless something extraordinary happened.
Like lots of money.
How much money you got in your salary cap, Jeremy?
Often all right.
All right.
There you go, your secrets again.
He might get offered enough money that he might be able to rent that house out.
Yeah. Well, you certainly don't need to tell Smoke and Joe that these opportunities are few and far between.
I've been on top of the ladder for 3 years now, and only got one flag, which, and if we don't win Saturday, I think it'll be underachieving to have 3 great platforms to select. Having an assault in the grand final and only have one flag after 3 great years would be disappointing. That's not the be-all, end-all of our sort of goals this week, but just to win a flag, that's what you train all year for. You train 10, 11 months of the year, and that's all you play for, is to win a flag. And we've got an opportunity now, so we're just going to go out and do it.
Smoke and Joe, Harves, earlier this year you told us that one of the Scott brothers gave you an earful.
Yes, I know which one it was.
Oh, you do know which one. How do you tell them apart? Because as we said before...
5 and 22.
Yeah, that's exactly who they are.
Yeah. No, Gubby told me. I ran into Graham Allen a couple of weeks ago and he told me it was Chris, so yeah.
They've been great for him this year.
Oh, look, particularly more so Chris. And I think Chris, because if you have a look at the stats, Chris appears to be a tagging player that does a pretty important role from across half back, but no.
Now that one's who?
That's Brad.
That's Brad. He was the ex-Hawthorn.
That's right. He does a lot of tagging, run with rolls, but he's now starting to be creative, like there, and kick goals. But Chris is the one that's mounting possessions and really setting it up from across half back. So he's been quite dangerous.
They're genuinely tough too, these two kids.
They are. They
don't
take it backwards. Do you rue the day that you lost B. Scott, Dermot? Because of course he came from Hawthorn.
Yeah, look, no, we had to make certain deals, and Johnny Barker came out of that one. And for what we've got out of it, look, well done to Scotty. He's been fantastic up there, but Johnny Barker has been brilliant at Hawthorn. No, we're ahead on that one in our minds. Key position players don't grow on trees, and he's been great. But look, this kid's fantastic, and I reckon he's brilliant.
Very good finisher, Chris Scott.
Yeah.
And he's been able to stay away from that hamstring injury that he's had over the last couple of years.
We're going to be getting Dake's tip a little bit later in the show, of course, but Doom, you're about to leave us. Who's going to be holding up the Premiership Cup on Saturday afternoon?
Look, I spoke to Harris before, all the signs point to Brisbane, but I do believe in a little bit of got to be there and feel one to win one down the track. And I think there's a lot of professionalism about Essendon. Any other team last week would have got run over by Hawthorn, but Essendon were able to hold up a big charge. Essendon narrowly.
Always good to have you at the table, and seriously, I mean, there are any number of things that you probably could have done tonight in grand final week. The
could have had fun somewhere.
Yeah, well, so why did you come in here?
I'll tell you what.
What are you doing in here?
I'll escort you home, Dermot, if you want to chaperone home.
All right, let's get
I reckon he'll run you over if you're...
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Scoop.
Absolute pleasure. Thanks, Dermot Brereton joining us, and of course you'll be able to see him on the game tomorrow night on Channel 7 throughout Australia. As we head to the break, the reason that we are letting Doom go, not because we don't want him here anymore, is because this show is not big enough for 2 of them. After the break, crackers and the pick of the punt.
Forward pocket, Minot backing back. Oh, player went very high there. Richardson down. It comes here to Wallace. Wallace left footed at goal. And it's through. Oh, the player whacked very solidly there.
Oh, fancy doing that to an umpire.
I'll tell you what too, it's Steve Stevens, who has been a goal umpire for 20 years, and this is his final appearance in league football. He's 50 years of age. This is his final appearance, and I'll tell you what, he's a pretty sick fella. And he's going on with the job before he gets attention.
Monday night at 7:30. Live and exclusive. All you need to know from the people in the know in AFL. We showcase and dissect the game week by week. Profiling, interviewing the superstars. With news and views from the coaches and the legendary icons of the game. Tim Watson heads the team of Alves, Silvani and Connolly in Football Feedback. Live Monday night at 7:30 on C7 Sport.
Mission Control, we have left the pad.
They rise into the heavens on the wings of angels.
Won't you smile for me, huh?
They're already high amongst the gods.
Jesus Christ, what the hell is that?
We lost contact with both astronauts for about 2 minutes.
Tell me what happened up there. It scares me that they act like it never happened.
You wanna know what happened? You wanna know about them 2 minutes?
Captain Alex Stratton died last night.
What's happening? Well, that's interesting. 2 heartbeats.
Everything's gonna be just fine.
Oh my God!
About those 2 minutes. 2 minutes. That's all it took. Have you noticed any change in your husband's behavior since the shuttle mission?
If you wanted to come here from very, very far away, maybe you could travel in a transmission at the speed of light like a thought. He's not your husband anymore. He's not.
Johnny Depp.
You're not Spencer.
Charlize Theron.
Who are you?
The astronaut's wife. Now showing on Movie 1.
So you love your motorsport? Then get into Australia's leading motorsport program, Checkered Flag. Every week we bring you the hottest local and international action from on and off the road. 4 wheels, 2 wheels, the speed, the power, the skills, the spills. If it moves in motor racing, you'll see it on Checkered Flag. Tuesday night on C7 Sport.